Welcome to Tech Brothers with Amir. In this video, we are going to learn how to create database in SQL Server by using T-SQL or Graphical User Interface. So that's the SSMS. Think about a scenario. You have installed SQL Server on your local machine, or you start a new project or assignment for a company, and you got the new laptop or desktop, and there are already SQL Server installed. The only part you need to go ahead and create a database and start working. So open your SSMS. The second part, you will be connecting to one of the SQL Server instances that can be on your local machine or it can be on your network. Once you go to connect database engine and then provide the SQL Server instance name, and then you have to provide authentication. You might use Windows authentication. That will be your AD Active Directory username and password. If they have provided you the SQL Server authentication such as SQL Server login and password, you will provide that and connect to the SQL Server instance. Now once you are connected to the SQL Server instance, then in the next part we can go ahead and create a database. Here I'm connected to multiple instances. So if you are working in a company, you will have dev, UAT, production. So there would be different SQL Server instances available. Think about these. This is the same scenario where I have different environments, and in different environments I have different SQL Server instances installed. So I'm connected to 3 of them. Let's go to this one right now, the top one, and here we see the databases tab. So database is a collection of different objects. So if you go to a database, you will see a lot of objects. This is one of the database. You see that we have database diagrams, tables, views, external resources, synonyms, programmability, and a lot of things. So think about that. It's a container that can contain a lot of objects to collect the data, and different other objects. They are helpful to run the queries, such as stored procedure are stored, views, the definition of those views, and other objects. So the database where we create our table, store the data. Now there are multiple ways to create the databases in a SQL Server. One way is writing a T-SQL query, and the other way we can use a graphical interface. So I'm going to go ahead and start using the T-SQL first and come back with the very important concepts that a developer should know. Now if you are thinking, okay, let's go ahead and I will show you different details. First, go to the new query, and the only thing you need to type create database and type the name of the database. This is very important. What the people do, let's say we have Tech Brothers, and then people say IT. So you see that here we have a space. It is not really recommended you start your database's name with the let's say with $, or you see 1, 2, 3 and all those kind of things. So give a very proper name. Follow the company standards. If they have standards, maybe they always have sales. Let's say these are all sales databases. You will always start with sales underscore something. And I do not recommend using spaces at all. They create a lot of problem later. If you create a database, you have to use somewhere, you have to have parentheses around this database name. Otherwise this space is going to create a lot of problem. So you have to put parentheses if you have spaces here, otherwise, or you will be using double quotes around your database name all the time wherever you need to use it because of these spaces. So it is recommended don't use any spaces here. You probably want to use, let's say if you really need to use something, use underscore. So in our case, we want to create Tech Brothers IT database. So I don't need any underscore here. So I'm going to just keep it as to gather everything, and this is it. So you go ahead and run your query. Now once you run your query, it is going to create a database. So you see that command completed successfully. We can go ahead and take a look here, and we see the Tech Brothers IT database is created. This is not the right way to do it. If you ask me why, okay, you created the database, you have no idea where the database files are created. Now, you know, we can find out where those files are created. The first thing, it is always, I will recommend, maybe you are creating these databases on dev machine, or that's using C drive, D drive and all that. Maybe you don't have space on that drive. You want to create these files for these databases on different drives. So let's find out when we create databases what type of files are created. Right click on the server name, go to the properties, and you will see in the, let's go to advanced, let me see here, database settings, we see there is a directory for data. So once you install SQL Server as a DBA or a developer, you have to provide these locations. So you have data file, and then you have log file and backup file directories. So this is where these files will be created. When you create a database, two files are created. One is called data file that keep all the information for our data, such as data itself, okay, tables, views, indexes, and everything. The log keep the information for the recovery, so it keep all the transaction. If we need to back up to the point of time and all that, that file will be there. So these two files are created for each of the database, and that's the location of where these files will be created. If we will simply go ahead and use create statement. So in this case, I use the create statement here, create database, and this is where the file should be created. Let's open this folder and go ahead and take a look. Okay, now if I go here and I'm gonna sort by date modified, here I see that two files are created. One is called MDF, that's our primary file, and that's our data file. So the second one is the LDF, that's our log file. So you can just hover your mouse, you see that SQL Server data primary data file, and the other one SQL Server data transaction log file. So we have these two files here, and as you can see that it took the name, okay, TechBrothersIT.mdf. So it took the database name itself for the primary file, and for the log it added underscore and then add underscore log. So if you want to follow different naming structure, different naming convention for your log file and your data file, you can always change it. But if you are using the create statement, you don't have option, it's going to take the default. Also, one thing I want to show you, let's go ahead and from here we figure out from the server properties. Now we are going to go ahead and figure this out, data file and log file from database properties. Right click here and go to properties of a database. We will see the same path. We will go to files, and here those paths are. If you will try to copy, if you right click here, this does not give you option to copy, and that's also sometimes problem. Like as a developer, we see, okay, it's not letting me copy this whole thing, so I can, some people go ahead and type as a new, once you are a new developer, you will say open a notepad and copy and paste and all those kind of things. You say, okay, that's where my file is, C program and all that take a whole lot of time. So don't worry about that. If you are here, it's not gonna let you copy in an SSMS, no big deal. Just select one and press the Control C. So Control C is gonna copy that, and don't close this part, let it be open and then Control V. So once you do that, it will copy, and then you can copy paste. Still you don't see the option here where the right click, but you can use Control C again and come here and paste it. So that's how you will copy these file paths if you need to. Now you see here, it took the same file path what we see in the server properties as we have used in the installation for data and log, and this is the name it is going to use. So that's great. And here we have initial size. So we have 3 MB and 1 MB. So if you will use create database, it is going to use the initial size from your model database, and if you don't provide the log size, it is going to take always 1 MB, and this is auto growth, okay, 1 MB unlimited. So it can go to the level, like if your disk is 100 GB, so your database can grow to 100 GB if there is no other databases, but after that it will fill and it can start failing. So you have to think about it, okay, what should be the maximum size of my database. Yeah, most of the companies, we keep them unlimited. We have a big drives, let's say 6 terabyte, 5 terabyte, some of them 100, even some of them 100 GB, 20 GB. That depends on the company and the data they are getting to put in the database. And here is the growth, like okay, by 10%, and here it is limited to this size. You can always divide with the 24 to make it into GB. Now here, is this a good idea? Keep them 1 MB and 10 MB or 10%? That's another question. So how often how much data you are getting. If you are getting data, a lot of data, so you might want to start with the big number here. Instead of 3 MB, you might want to start with 3 GB, and here you might want to start with the 10 GB. So depend upon the number of transactions you are going to keep in this file. So if you have a lot of transaction going on, you might want to give a bigger size. Now here, increase size I will recommend if your data is growing really huge, and I don't recommend doing 1 MB and all that. I might go with 100 MB and let it fill, because every time it's going to increase it, it's going to take some time to initialize that disk space and give to the database. So if you have 1 MB, it will be another burden. Every 1 MB it has to be reinitialized and added that to the database. So if you feel like your database is going to grow huge, make it a little bigger size. Now that's where I wanted to come back, and I don't want to keep talking as a DBA. I want to tell you as a developer. So think about that. You know that where your files are going to be put, and now you provide some good initial size on both sides, data and log, and also give some reasonable auto growth size. Now we will come back to this window again, and let me cancel this. So you see that when you say create database, what type of parameters it take. Remember, for primary file, it take the size from your system database. That's a model. So this is the structure it use. Go to properties, and we can see in the files this is what we have. So we have 3 and 1. So it is going to take, for primary, it is going to take 3 MB. As for the model, we have this setting. You can always change this one, and once you will create again a new database, this setting will be used. So let's say we have 300 here now, and if we will go ahead and create a new database, and now the new database will be created with the initial primary file size 300. That's good. So model database, that's all the object. Let's say if you have tables, that table you want to create every new database. If you have a store procedure, you want to create in every new database, and you can use those I will say create those objects in model, and then whenever somebody run create database statement, those objects will be created in new database. Now as there are a lot of things related to the database, and we are working as a developer, we do not need to know everything. My goal is how to create a database. You know that where the files are placed, how you can provide the initial size and all that. I'm gonna go ahead and show you in GUI and create the structures. But here on TechBrothersIT, there is a tab here. We have SQL Server DBA video tutorial. Go there, and then you will find databases tab here, and a lot of videos are there. So how to create a database, best practices, how to create a database in SQL, attach, detach, shrink. So these are all different DBA tasks are available. You can learn. As a developer, I have learned it. I like it because I want to know about databases. So you can go ahead and watch all these videos, and if you are not interested, fine, no big deal. But at least you as a developer, you have enough knowledge to move forward with this video, and you can learn at least about the the databases, their data file, log file, how to script out, and all those. Now this part is done. We learn it how to create from by using T-SQL. Second part, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to, let's drop this database. To drop this database, we can right click here in the drop, just go to the delete and drop it. Okay, now if we go ahead and create the same database, now first we had only two choices. Think about that. You got a new requirement where you have to create a database where you should have a data file, there where you should have index file, where you want to keep the index separate from the data file. You want, whenever you want to create index, you want to create indexes on a new file that we will be creating, and then there would be log file. So you got this requirement where you will be scripting or creating a new database with 3 files: log file, data file, and index file. So we are going to go ahead and do it in the GUI. So, and then we will script out as well. So go to new database, and here let's say TechBrothersIT. That's the name of our database. Now by default it already took okay, this is our logical name for our data file, and here is a rows. So this is our MDF. Next we have a log file here. The third one, what we want to add index. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new file group here. We'll call this one, let's say we call this TechBrothersIT underscore index. So this file, and we want to tell in which file group we want to have it. We can still have in primary, but I'm going to keep separate as a file group. I'm going to create a new file group for indexes. So I'm going to call this one indexes. And here we have option, let's say I feel that my database is going to grow huge. So 1024, that's 1 GB. And same, I want to, let's say I would like to go 1040 to 48, 2 GB of log file size. And for indexes, I feel okay, 1024 is enough. That's my requirement to create this database. And then I have auto growth. I want to go ahead and do 100 MB for this one. Let's say here we have one. I'm going to go ahead and delete this and type 100 and go to here. Then I'm going to go 10% here and unlimited. So I'm going to go ahead, and here you see that we have percent, and here we have in megabytes. So you can change it. And if I would like go ahead, let's say change to the 5. And here we have limited to the MB and unlimited. Let's say if you want to change to maybe say suppose go ahead back here. Let's say we want to have a 10 GB. That's our max. So we know that select 1040 24. That's our 1 GB multiply 10. So this is how we are going to get the number in MBs. So we have a 10240. Now let me go back to the window, and here let's say if I want to limit it to the 10 GB, so I have to provide that 1024 is the MB is equal to 1 GB. Just to tell you guys, hit OK. Now you see that it is this one, and for here I want to go ahead and do the 100 as well. So I want to do in a MB and 100 MB growth, and I want to keep it at unlimited. So that's fine. And here you see that these are the paths where these files will be created. Now one thing, if this path makes sense to you, fine. Let's say for index we have created a new folder, we can hit here and then change it. So it's kind of stuck, it is opening right now. So right now let's see, it is here and in the data, and that's where it is putting it. If I want to create a new folder here, let's say in some folder I want to go on C drive, D drive, F drive, I can go there and choose from there. Right now I have only C drive and D drive. Let's go ahead, and if you want to go ahead and create somewhere, you can go ahead and create that folder and just select that. So I'm fine with that. Even we are creating here, we can change for other environments. Now this is related to our SQL 2016 3P2. That's where we are scripting this entire database. Now think about that. I have to provide this script to create this database on different server where the file paths are different. So I'm not going to go ahead and hit OK. I'm going to go ahead and go to script and say script action to new query and come back here. And here I will see all those detail how the script will look like. Remember, it will use create the database, just this name. It is going to create the database with the default values. So primary file size will be just whatever we have defined in model database, and log file will be 1 MB. But here, as we are interested to create a new file group for indexes, we want to have a new file for indexes, and that's going to be our NDF. That's our secondary file. And also we want to have the proper names. Let's say these are the naming convention we would like, and these are the folder structure. So you can take this script and provide to your DBA, or if you are a DBA, you can run on other machines. But here you will be changing the path according to your machine. Maybe in the other production machine is not going to use C drive. Let's say it's using L drive. So you have to go and provide L drive. How you will do that? Let's think about this production machine. So I have this production machine, this one, this is SQL 2016. I will right click here, go to properties. Hold on, sorry, there is some problem with my SSMS, and I have installed the latest version, and these are the old instance, and this is the latest instance that's compatible with the SSMS. I'm getting some problems, but the same way you will go to the instance properties and go to the database settings, and here you will have the file paths. If you are not sure where these files should be placed, you can ask your DBA, hey, I'm creating the script for the create database, can you provide me the data file path and log file path and indexes file path? So he will provide, and you will go ahead and make these changes and save your script and then give to him for the deployment. So this is how you are gonna create it. Remember here the window is still open. If you would like to create this database, we can go ahead and hit OK. And if you are not interested here, if you want to go further, options are here as well. So if you see somebody ask you, this is SQL Server 2016. So this maybe in development you have the latest version, in production you have SQL Server 2012 or SQL Server 2014, and they say compatibility level of this database should be SQL Server 2014. So you're going to click here and come and provide SQL Server 2014. So once you do that, and also you have different options such as NC nulls, the default values, and all those kind of things. Most of the time we don't really change them, but if there is some requirement, you can go ahead and change it. The correlation, maybe it is different in your production than what's in your development. You can go ahead and change that as well. So whatever the requirement comes to you, you can make all changes in the options. Go back to general again and script them out one more time. So once you script out, now you see here compatibility level is set to 120. Otherwise, if everything is default, all the systems are same in the dev, QA, UAT, you might be just okay with the providing this part. So create database name, and then you tell like, okay, the primary or data file, this is where it is, this is going to be log file, this is going to be index file, and that's it. Now we can go ahead and run this entire statement. Let's go ahead and execute. This is going to create the database, but the compatibility level is set to SQL Server 2014. Even we have created the SQL script by using SQL Server 2016. That was our wizard. Initially we started from there, but you can set the compatibility options. So this is going to create the database. It's taking a little time, and you see that if I will use just the create statement, it create the database very quickly. But as I have provided different file sizes and everything, it took some time to initiate that disk space for these databases. So sometimes it can take a little more time, but it will not take 5 hours or 10 hours. So it will be just less than a minute. You will be done with that, or it is not going to take whole lot of time, but it can take time depending on the settings what you have and the initial size and file. So that can play a little role, but no big deal. It should not take like 10 minutes or 20 minutes. So it should be completed pretty quick. Now that's pretty much it, and I hope you learned something out from here. And last thing, now once these scripts are ready, you can run in your environment as I ran it. Make the changes again according to the production or QA environments. Save these files. You will press Ctrl S. This will open a save window, and then save this. Okay, create database, and provide the name TechBrothersIT. Save this SQL on your desktop or wherever, and then check in TFS or email to your DBA if he need to run this in QA or a UAT or production for your deployment. So thanks very much for watching this video, and there are a lot of components we left here such as backup, restore, and all that. As I told you, we have all these videos as a DBA. If you want to take a look, I recommend watching it. Even I'm a developer, I will recommend watching these videos. You would learn a lot of stuff from here. So anyways, good luck with learning, and I will see you guys in the next video.